Hari Om and Jai Gurudev. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. So let's share our takeaways. So fear is because of Dvaita. If there is no Dvaita Bhavana, there is no fear.
And we fear of everything except for ourselves. That was a new revelation.
Yeah, we don't fear ourselves, no. Isn't it? That is...
But this Dvaita is created by the mind, right? It's the mind which creates the duality and then brings up fear and brings up all the other things.
Correct.
The ego part, Didi, hai na?
Not really. Okay, it includes everything. Mind.
We were talking of this darkness and sunlight yesterday, but somehow today this thing came up as in Brahma is there in everything. So is he there? Is it there also in avidya?
But it's veiled,
then,
no?
Huh?
Our self is veiled.
Right.
It is there everywhere. But because of the veiling power of the Maya, we don't see it. It's there. But it's veiled. So obviously So if you ask if it's there or not, yes, it's all pervading. So it's always there everywhere. But then it's veiled, so we don't see it or we don't realize it.
In Bhagavad Gita, just like what is said, no, I am in good and I am in bad also. That's how.
What Nana said, it is there in spite of Ajnana. It is there. It is just that, just like that story of how the sunlight it never meets darkness.
Yeah, actually,
about that story, right? The sun chasing the darkness.
Nishi.
Yeah.
But Brahman, we have to probably, okay, even Satchitananda is said because human mind needs something to attribute to it, right? But actually, Brahman is the substratum on which everything is there. It is what supports everything, right? So even saying it, okay, Satchitananda is probably a way to somehow try to describe it, but then it's not even that.
Yeah. Correct. So where did we stop yesterday? Did we finish this 17th verse? I think we did this, no? We did this government, and government is there in
Can I
every...
speak some words?
Huh?
Can I speak some words?
Yeah, go ahead,
Yesterday,
please. Please, go ahead.
yesterday in satsang, Gurudev said, जिसकी बारात है उसका गुणगान होता है.
हाँ.
So everywhere means whichever we are taking the topic, like Devi, so Devi will be there. Brahma will be there in everything. So it is positive or negative, whatever ignorance or I mean jo bhi and whatever ignorance or your next opposite to that, it will be there only. In vidya avidya both it is there. जिसकी बारात जो बोलेंगे जहां जहां जो है उसमें वो आएगा शिवा के ऐसे. So I think little bit time about means बताने का कोशिश किया.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that Devi Stotram, wherein it says, what is that Devi Stotram? It says, let me get it. Once I get it, I will share it.
Yeah, Dashanguli Nakhotpanna Naray. Dasha.
Yeah, no, there is this Stotram. It starts with it says, I'm there in hunger, I'm there in sleep, I'm there in everything. I'm not getting the starting of the shloka.
Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu.
Ya Devi, thank you. Thank you, Malti ji. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Kshuda Rupena Samstita. That one, it includes all pairs of opposites. Pairs of opposites and everything.
One which Nanaji touched upon towards the end of the session, I think maybe he'll expand further, is how we have to handle our mind, right? It can be your best friend or your worst enemy, as we say. And all this ajnanam or even the whole samsara is all in the mind, right? In deep sleep, there is no samsara because there is no mind, isn't it? So, like, I think even Gurudev has mentioned, our first step is to handle this mind. If that is done, then revealing of the self and all that will automatically happen. All the other knowledge is all anyways there. We are unable to tap into it and probably not have access to it because of this mind. It's all the
Yesterday,
mind.
Gurudev said very nicely, he told, like butter in your hand, so you will throw the butter, but there will be some ansha of that butter on your hand. So even if we try to come out of mind or no mind, there will be impressions or little bit will be there. So we cannot come totally out of mind.
Yeah, maybe that's right. Okay, without
said
mind,
was-
they say that mind is the reason for ignorance and mind will be the reason for your liberation also.
Right.
Without that, yes, you cannot transcend even if you don't have a mind. But then that mind is that purified mind, right? It's like not having any mala or kilbisham or whatever Nanaji.
Mind is the link between Jagat and Ishvara, the Jagat and Brahma.
Correct. So it is now projecting the world. One is there are two ignorance that's possible, right? One is to know or not to know that world is not real. Okay. So one ignorance is we feel that world is real now, isn't it? That's one is we don't know Atma and we think world is real. Both are ignorance. The ignorance of thinking the world is real is even more dangerous. not knowing Atma is one ignorance, but that is still okay. You will learn or you will realize it at some point. But thinking world is real is a bigger, dangerous ignorance.
Yeah,
And
it will
that's
take
where,
you into misery and
yeah,
samsara.
that is where, some Swamiji has beautifully said, I vaguely remember. So one is seeing the snake over the rope. That is ignorance, right? Superimposing the snake over the rope. The other one is where you think the snake, there is a snake and you think it's a rope. That's even more dangerous, right?
No, come again.
It's okay, difficult to quickly understand. One is seeing the snake over the rope. It's a rope, you're seeing a snake. What you will do, you will try to stay away from it, right? It's ignorance, but then you're afraid of it, so you don't go near it and you're staying away. Second ignorance is where there is a snake and you think it's a rope. Then you might end up trying to pick it up and play with it. That's even more dangerous. It can lead you to even more difficult situations, right? Misery, all that. And that is what is happening more.
Yeah.
I have one question. If Maya, because of the Maya, everything is happening. So in enlightened person, Maya, if Maya comes again, does it happen? Because in some rishi or swamis, we have seen such problem. Because whatever is happening is because of the Maya.
Oh, here it is said, no, very clearly. Once that state is reached, it is nani vartate. You will not drop down from that state.
Okay.
Yeah, the fully realized people will not come back. Yes, people who are in the journey still going to reach or trying to realize the Brahman. Yeah, how strong you are in your pursuit is all what will determine, right? There again, it's the mind. How much of the mind is into only Brahman contemplation? Then yes, you will not come back. Yes, if it is caught up in the world also, then yeah, it can happen.
It says, no, yam prapya nani vartante. Tadhama paramam mama. So Bhagwan says, no, so he said that once you reach that place, it's not like literally reaching that place. Once you realize, you rediscover yourself, then there is no turning back. There's no coming back. But then all of us get a few glimpses during meditation and all that. That is just a glimpse. It is still not that steady state. So our ultimate goal is to reach that steady state, that joyful state where it's the point of no return. When that happens and how that happens, we just have to keep polishing ourselves, keep our vessels clean for that to happen.
Correct. Thank you.
Did anybody else wants to share, or should we go to the text?
Well, Gurudev has said the sun is considered all powerful, illuminous. But where does the sun get its spherical shape from? And it is enveloped by dark matter all around it. And that dark matter is more powerful than the sun itself, whom we consider most powerful. And we know nothing about the dark matter that is surrounding the sun. The spherical shape of all the globe is because of the dark matter surrounding it. There is so much more to know which we are not aware of. I don't know in this context how it works, but that is what Gurudev had said about the sun.
Yeah. But Persiji, even that dark matter, no matter how deep and dense that is and how vast it is, it also belongs to the Jagat. It also belongs to the universe, isn't it? It is part of the the Panchamahabhutas. It is part of that. So again, it is actually born of avidya, which is Maya, which is a byproduct of Maya. So correct, the dark matter, the visible, the the visible jagat as we see is only a minute particle, minute aspect of the entire vast universe of the dark energy that we do not know of. We cannot even conceive it. So Brahma is something even beyond that, that encompasses that includes that like how space itself is so vast, you can't imagine space is all pervading. But Brahma is something which contains space. So that is the absolute uh, infinite. Yeah. Does anyone want to chant? Bela, you want to chant the shloka?
Brahmaraji, no, I will not be able to chant right now, dear.
Okay, okay. Anyone else wants to chant? Make an attempt.
Can I attempt?
Yeah, please go ahead, Sallaji.
You have to screen share, please. Move screen whenever it is required, because don't have text right now with me.
No, this
Okay.
doing the shloka, Dehendriya Mano Buddhihi.
Okay.
Can do
Okay.
this.
देहेन्द्रिय मनोबुद्धि प्रकृतिभ्यो विलक्षणम्. I have to read. तद्वृत्ति साक्षिणं विद्यात् आत्मानं राजवत्सदा. देह body, indriya senses, manas mind, buddhi intellect, prakrutibhyah from all this matter, vilakshanam distinct, tadvritti sakshinam witness of their functions, vidyat know, atmanam the self, rajavat like a king, sada always. One should understand that the Atman is always like the king, distinct from the body, senses, mind, and intellect, all of which constitute the matter, Prakruti, and is the witness of their functions. The pure intelligence, the all-pervading Brahman, is to be understood as distinct from and beyond the physical equipments constituted of the body, mind, and intellect. For it is this supreme illuminator who illumines the subtle workings of the intellect, the grosser thoughts of the mind, and the still grosser physical movements. In spite of all these seemingly interested association eliminations, it is ever a mere witness and never a participant. An illuminator is always separate from the objects of illuminate. The subject of experience cannot be the same as the objects of the same experience. The king is not a participant in the drama and the dance in his darbar hall. He is only witness. And like him, the Atman is witness of the drama of life. Atma is the witness of the drama of life going on in this body and the world outside, the microcosm microcosmic and microcosmic existence. Subjectively analyzed, self is a witness of the play of matter, the idea of good and bad, the knowledge of right and wrong, the feeling of sorrow and joy, and the appreciation of beauty and ugliness, our sense of duty and neglect, etc., and the actions of the physical body are all aspects of our inner and outer subjective life. These experiences constituted of the knowledge which we know and also of those which we do not know. That is, the positive experience of the thing and the nothingness of what we do not know, the bhava and the abhava, are all illuminate for us by that one awareness, the pure consciousness. It stands aloof and does not identify itself with what is happening in the entire cosmic order, nor does it identify itself with what is happening within ourselves in the different layers of matter. It is not the sharer of the experience. It is only an observer like the king in his darbar hall. A non-partisan is all affairs, disinterested in all happenings and yet all powerful. Rajavat.
This is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So often we say, oh, God is testing me, or, the divine is testing me. Absolutely not. That is only a misconception we have. If you understand, we understand this, the divine is only a mute witness. Whatever has to happen to us is happening. So that we consider it as someone is testing us, God is testing us. Absolutely not. Right? So beautiful. This is this thing of he is
Rajavat. King.
yeah, Rajavat Sada. And he is I wanted to say, he stands aloof and does not identify itself with what is happening in the entire cosmic order, nor does it identify itself with what is happening within ourselves in the different layers of matter. So it is actually ignorance. Out of ignorance, we attribute things that, oh, God is God is testing is one thing. We attribute so many things. Gurudev got this thought. Gurudev made this happen. He is just a witness. It is because you are aligned to the cosmic order that you were probably got the right thought at the right time, and then things happened. Right? So, Atma is just...
Here I remember once Gurudev said, Ki Brahma just created and he slept away, or he just in the background.
Yeah, that is true. He is there everywhere. He is, he knows whatever is happening. That is different. But he does not, should I say,
Actually,
Participate.
somebody used an interesting term. God has no free will. God has no free will. He has to just let it happen, right? Because it's all operating based on some cosmic rules or
it is
law order that has been set in motion. He has now no say in it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Although,
Eventually, that's where we will, when we start going deeper and deeper into it, then that's why after a while the rituals and all no longer matter as much as probably it matters now. Because you realize then that you have gone beyond that. We try to appease God, pray. Yes, all that is required maybe initially. But after a while, slowly, it will take you and make you realize there is no free will.
yeah. actually these rituals and all that, if you if you consider them as part of your inner purification process, and it is not for someone, it is not for getting not to appease anyone, then it makes a big it takes a different shift. It's just like how you're doing your regular other activities. You're doing this to actually polish your inner equipments, because the mantras have that purifying aspect. No? Yesterday in Satsang, Gurudev was also mentioning about how from the gross to the subtle we go. Love is there everywhere. You have to express it. So you need some medium to express love. So therefore you objectify it. You create an idol. And then subtler than that is a shaligrama. And subtler than that is our mantras. So you move from the form to the formless. And in this journey, I think all this makes sense. The pujas and the homas and the rituals. But we need, as we understand Vedanta and we are into this, we need to understand the subtlety of why we're doing it, and not to gain some material gain here and there, but it is to ultimately purify ourselves. Because we don't know this Ananta Koti Janmanam, how many samskaras we have got and how much inner polishing needs to be done. What we know is we have this one human life. We do not know what is going to happen in the next life. So our free will, our purushartha, mumukshutvam has to be kind of used to the hill. You have to pick it up, and ideally we all should be that of the different three adhikaris, Uttama, Madhyama and Adhama. If we are on this path, ideally we should be on the Uttama adhikari level, where we do whatever it requires to clean our inner equipment. No? So that is nice. Yeah, you want to continue, Sarlaji?
Yeah.
You can chant.
I may make mistake, please bear me.
Doesn't matter, yeah. Go on.
व्यापृतेष्विन्द्रियेष्वात्मा व्यापारी वा विवेकिनाम् दृश्यते भ्रेषु धावत्सु धावन्न इव यथा शशि. Vyapruteshu, while functioning. Indriyeshu, the sense organs. Atma, the self. Vyapari, active. Eva, like. Avivekinam, for non-discriminating people. Drushyate, appears. Abreshu, the clouds. Dhavatsu, when moving. Dhavan, to be running. Eva, like. Yatha, just as. Shashi, the moon. The moon appears to be running when the clouds move in the sky. Likewise, to the non-discriminating person, the Atma appears to be active when it is observed through the functions of the sense organs. When the imperishable self sheds its illumination and express itself in the life of the perishable individuals, it looks as though the self itself is acting. The actions and movements are of the sense organs and are not of the self. The life spark in us, which is the sole nourisher of the life. It gives the organs their capacities for such manifestations. The steam in the engine supplies the power for the locomotive to pull the train of carriages. It has neither a favor for nor any prejudice against anybody traveling in the attached compartments. The stream has no particular destination to reach. Similarly, the Supreme Atman, when when it expresses itself through the body, mind, and intellect, the self seems to act. But actually, the self participates in none of these activities of the sheaths. It has nothing to gain through any such activities. So, whatever thoughts and actions spark up within and fly past a given individual, the self alone is the substratum for them all. And it is in the light of the self that they are recognized and experienced. There would be absolutely no manifestation or existence of life either in the individual or in the cosmic order without the omnipotence of this supreme available ever so readily to sustain them all. A person who lacks in his powers of discrimination, a viveki, does not pursue the truth playing so evidently beneath the play of manifested life, but mistakes the activity of the non-self as that of the self, even though perceptibly it is only the unbiased witness and detached observer. In almost every one of the stanzas, we are given a comparison without which the mighty and glorious existence of the real self cannot be indicated as the immaculate. इसका meaning नहीं समझ में आ रहा. Ever unconditioned by the frolics of the unreal.
Immaculate is clean.
Yeah.
Clean and pure. Yeah.
Okay. Here, the illustration is that of the moon, which seems to the childish folk as moving because of the cloud that pass in front of it. In a train journey, it looks as though the trees and hillocks of the countryside are moving fast, while actually the train indeed is moving. Through a moving medium, even motionless, steady objects looks as though moving. The objects observed gather to themselves the properties of the medium through which we observe. The illustration employed here has a very deep significance to those who can clearly meditate upon it. The entire import of the illustration can strike us down with the joyful amazement when we visualize the picture clearly. Imagine an observer looking up the moon through the marching cloud in the sky. The observer is standing maximum 6 feet from the surface of the vast earth, observing the moon that glows some thousands of miles away through the clouds that are a couple of miles away from the observer. And yet the observer cries, the cloud has covered the moon, or the moon is running. Similarly, the infinite self, when viewed through the restlessness of the body, mind, and intellect, looks as though the self is agitated and active. If there be the sufficient mental bias and the required scientific observation of the phenomena of life, the intelligent student can easily recognize that all agitation belongs, in fact, to the matter layers of agitation belongs, in fact, to the matter layers in us, and the self is never involved in them. The moon seems to be moving because we look at it through the moving medium. We recognize life as a dynamic because we observe life only through the vehicles of its expressions. Looking at the living creature, through its physical, mental, and intellectual activities. we say life is dynamic, active, ever pulsating. In fact, life as such is not active. The vehicles thrilled by life act, and these actions are superimposed upon the self. And in this confused observation, it seems as though the self is active. When the mind is agitated, the self seems to be agitated. We do not realize that the self has no such agitations, that it is silent and steady, firm and dispassionate, and that these eruptions are only on the surface of the mind. Thus, upon the glorious self are wrongly superimposed the functions of the different layer of matter. To experience the self without the intervention of the matter sheet is to realize its infinitude and full divinity.
Can you just repeat that last sentence once again?
The
Please,
experience, the experience the self,
to
to experience the self without the intervention of the matter sheets is to realize its infinitude and full divinity.
Yeah. This is
Matter
what
sheets,
in
we
that,
have to go above the all shits.
yeah. It is what we do in that one of the last meditations in every advanced course, no? The
Yeah.
I am meditation, where I am hungry, I am angry, I am happy, I am,
Agitate.
you know, all that we attribute, all those adjectives, all those experiences.
Then we say, no, I am peace.
I am.
Love, joy.
I am. That you stay with that I am. All those other things are like those agitations. All those are like those waves that we attribute. We associate the self with that experience. But it is actually that steady change, unchanging entity, because of which we're able to experience everything else. Yeah. Any sharing on this before we move to the next shloka?
Atma
In my
Chaitanya.
class,
One
sorry,
second. Yeah, Percy ji, go ahead.
yeah, in my part one courses, whenever I take and we're covering this matter, it is all regarding our perceptions. And I always ask a question, close your eyes and quickly answer me. And I ask the question, which is longer, 1 hour of happiness or 1 hour of sorrow? Invariably, mostly the answer is 1 hour of sorrow. Then I ask another question. Okay, again close your eyes. Which is heavier, 1 hour, 1 kilo of iron or 1 kilo of cotton? And many a times, some people say 1 kilo of iron, and some people say 1 kilo is 1 kilo. And then I tell them that it's in your perception. 1 hour is 1 hour. How can 1 hour of sorrow be longer than the 1 hour of happiness? 1 hour is simply 1 hour. All the impressions in our mind create the way we perceive things. Very good.
Yeah, very nice. Beautiful. Yeah. I even like the sentence that, and let's just go back to that. Swamiji had mentioned here. What was that? Yeah, the illustration employed here, that is this example of the moon as though running behind the moving clouds, has a very deep significance to those who can clearly meditate upon it. The entire import of the illustration can strike us down with a joyful amazement when we visualize the picture clearly. He's given a beautiful analysis, scientific analysis. We are standing on the surface of the earth. We are just about, what, 5-6 feet. And then we are looking at the moving clouds, which are just a few, maybe hundreds of few miles away. Whereas the moon is thousands of miles away. And yet we say the cloud has covered the moon, or the moon is running. Similarly, The infinite self, when viewed through the restlessness of the body, mind, and intellect. This is likened to all the clouds, the body, mind, and intellect that they're constantly moving, they're constantly acting. Looks as though the self is agitated and active. So, this again is that misapprehension of the self over the matter and envelopments. Yeah, nice. I think we can do a few more verses. Uh, Sadlaji, you want to
Okay.
continue or shall I chant?
Yeah, you can chant, no problem.
No, you if you're keen to, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Doing a good job. Yeah, go ahead.
आत्मचैतन्यमाश्रित्य देहेन्द्रियमनोधियः स्वक्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्ते सूर्यलोकं यथा जनः. Atma Chaitanya, vitality of consciousness, ashritya, depending upon, dehendriya manodhiyaha, body, senses, mind and intellect, swakriyartheshu, in their respective activities, vartante, engage, surya lokam, light of the sun, yatha, just as, janaha, people. Depending upon the energy or vitality of consciousness, Atma Chaitanya, the body, senses, mind, and intellect engage themselves in their respective activities, just as men work depending upon the light of the sun. Every one of the equipment, body, mind, and intellect functions in its own definite sphere, and each one of it depends entirely upon that power, that is Atma Chaitanya, which by its mere presence kindles life in matter and makes it look as though sentient. The power of electricity is one, but its fields of operation are different. Without electricity, even if we have all the bulbs and switches in their proper places, we do not get any manifestation. Likewise, without the unleavening Atma, no activity is possible in this world, and all the objects of creation would then be, without its grace, a dead weight of matter hanging heavily around like stone, dead matter hanging heavily around like stone, inert, dark, and devoid of any symptoms of life and hope. It is that which makes up the life in all, at once dynamic, gay, energetic, and beaming with attraction. Although in itself it is not affected by the things and happenings of the life, which it illumines in its shining presence divine. The illustration here is from the various activities that start with the rising of the sun in the east. Whatever be the thoughts and actions of an individual who faces the day, the sun which illuminates the earth is not affected by the happiness or sorrow of those who are here in this world. It simply illuminates. It simply illumines whatever part of the globe comes before its power of illumination. So, two, at the touch of the illumining glory of the self, the outer world of the activities is vitalized. The self never gets mixed up with analyzing, which it vitalizes. Whatever be the situation which the sun is illumining, some bleeding war or some boiling tar, the sun neither gets red nor black. The sunlight never the sunlight needs never get boiled up with the prevailing sense of hate or heat.
It is
Dehendriya
so
Gunan.
beautiful. The illustrations that Swamiji has given. The sun is just a mute witness to all that happens. Isn't it? This is, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Dehendriya Gunan Karman Amale Sachidatmani Adhyasyan Adhyasyan Anantya Adhyasyanty Vivekena Gagane Nilatadivat.
The split up there is Adhyasya
Antya
Antya Vivekena. Avivekena. It's Antya
Avivekena.
Yeah.
Dehendriya Gunan, qualities of the body and senses. Karmani, actions. Amale, pure. Sachidatmani, on the Atman, the absolute existence, knowledge. Adhyasyanti, superimpose. Avivekena, by lack of discrimination. Gagane, in the sky. Nilatadivat, blue color. सॉरी हाँ मेरा बैटरी डाउन हो रहा है एक मिनट में चार्जिंग पे लगाती हूँ
No problem.
you can continue till that
yeah.
time.
Yeah, no problem. So fools, because they lack in their powers of discrimination, superimpose on the Atman the absolute existence knowledge, such it all the varied functions of the body and the senses, just as they attribute blue color and the like to the sky. Because they lack in their powers of right discrimination, the qualities of the body, mind, intellect, the limitations of the physical and subtle body are superimposed by the ignorant on the pure self. Thereafter, the deluded mistake this real self to be one possessing all the imperfections of the superimposed equipments. This non-discrimination, aviveka, is like the misconception which makes children believe that the sky is blue when actually it has no color. Not only the blueness, but the concavity of the sky, murkiness, misty looks, dusty conditions are all often considered as conditions of the sky. In fact, space appears as having these qualities, but space as such has none of them. An object is not affected by the traits superimposed upon it. And here, when we superimpose certain characteristics of the body and mind on the self-effulgent being, the truth itself is not affected by such misconceived notions and attributes. The blueness perceived is the experience of our limited vision when it looks at the endless summer sky. Yeah. You know, coincidentally, only about 1 or 2 days back, this thought had come up in my mind. I said, why do we look at the sky? Why is it that concave appearance of the sky? Why is it like we feel as if we are like in a dome? You know, that again is again an illusion. Like Percy G had mentioned, it's everything in space appears spherical because of the enveloping dark matter. Everything is in fact elliptical or spherical. It's round. Everything is like round because of this. And it is an appearance again. This concavity, the dust, the blueness. But the problem is we consider the unreal as real. That is the superimposition, and that is where we get caught. Avivekena, we superimpose all the aspects of the body, mind, intellect on the Atman. Yeah, are you able to continue, Sarlaji?
Yeah.
Yeah.
अज्ञानानमानसोपाधेः कर्तृत्वादीनि चात्मनि कल्पन्ते अम्बुगते चन्द्रे चलनादि यथाम्भसः. Ajnanat, through ignorance. Manasopadhi, of the mind, which is a upadhi. Kartutvadini, agency of action, etc. Cha, and Atmani, on the self. Kalpyante, attribute. Ambugate, which is reflected in the water. Chandre, in moon. Chalanati, tremblings, etc. Yatha, just as. Ambhasaha, of the water. The tremblings that belong to the waters are attributed through ignorance to the reflected moon dancing on it. Likewise, agency of action, of enjoyment, and of other limitations which really belongs to the mind are delusively understood as a nature of the self. The idea, I am the enjoyer, I am the doer, are of the intellect. These different ideas, such as I am this, I am dash, dash, etc., arise in the mind only when we are in the midst of the activities of the workaday world and the dream world. For when we are in deep sleep, we do not have any such ideas. It is only when the mind is available for perception and cognition that we come to know of the things cognized. As long as we identify ourselves with the mind, so long as alone can we claim to have the dual experiences in these planes of existence. But when once we have withdrawn ourselves from the mental plane and are in the state of pure consciousness, samadhi, we realize that all the thoughts and emotions and activities of the intellect, mind, and body are not in the self, nor are they of the self. The delusory reflections of the consciousness in the mental pool, which agitated with the panting egoist ideas of I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, etc., cease when there are no more any thoughts, eruptions therein. The example here is of an image of the moon reflected in the bucket of water, which seems to shiver when the water surface is disturbed. When the water comes down and becomes steady, we do not see the shattered mood in the bucket of water reassembling to form one whole. Similarly, when one has purified one's mind and consolidated its strength and has reconstructed it to the firm and steady by narrowing down its various unholy, unhelpful, and selfish thoughts, the glory of the self get automatically reflected in all its beauty within oneself, unshaken by the dualities around and the consequent hesitations.
So this is important again. We're coming back to Karma Yoga, where when one has purified one's mind and has consolidated its strength and has reconstructed it to be firm and steady by narrowing down its various unholy, unhelpful, and selfish thoughts. So all our sadhana chatushtayam comes in here. the glory of the self gets automatically reflected in all its beauty within oneself. And it's beautiful, no, how Swamiji has explained. It is only in the waking and the dream state that we have experienced this duality, because the mind is working and it creates this duality. And therefore also we have the fear. Even in a dream, you can have a nightmare wherein you wake up thinking, oh, you experience all that fear even in a nightmare. Whereas in deep sleep, because the mind's agitations have calmed down, there is no mind there. There is nothing. You don't experience any duality. It is only that Advaita, but it's still not that complete Ananda, the Satchid Ananda, because it still has that veil of ignorance. So it is all, again, like how Vijayji, we were sharing in the beginning, it is all about handling the mind.
Yeah,
That's
that example is very nice. No, when we are sleeping, world was there, but world was not there also. And when we
Huh?
wake up, the world came up.
correct. Yeah. That is why, see, Bhagwan is so compassionate. He's giving us an experience every day.
Death,
Array,
death.
this is what is real, this is what is not real. Wake up to this. He's giving us this experience every day, but we just take it as mechanical. Sleep, get up and go around the same circle or round and round, routine, mechanically. If we were only able to understand our sleep, you could draw a lot of deep insights from that.
Hariom, I just want to share one thing, although it is not related to this. When I was teaching back home in India, in psychology, there was a research going on where they were able to manipulate their realities through their dreams. I mean, how to dream also, they were trying to catch hold of, and they were trying to see through neurological data and in the you can say in the experimental design they had done that they made the people dream to be successful, and then they how to make them those dreams in a real situation. So I'm sure right now I have not gone through again, but that's what the Western world is. I mean, it was back there 2 decades back. Even
In
the
Yoga Vashishta, sorry to disturb. In Yoga Vashishta, there is dream and means inside the dream there is a dream. So when you are telling they were teaching how to dream, so it just came in my mind the Yoga Vashishta.
Yeah, Belaji, what you said is correct. It is called creative visualization. They try to.
Yeah, it's so wonderful, amazing. I mean, through your, I mean, you become your own Brahman. You create your realities.
Isn't that the gist of this movie, the short documentary called The Secret? The Secret, if any of you has watched that, in fact, Gurudev recommends that. It's a beautiful, I can't remember, maybe 1 hour, 1.5 hours movie. It is about how the power of your intention manifests. But that apart, what is, see, that again is all to do with the manifest world. No? In that they say, imagine yourself to, get a good position, become prosperous, become healthy. If we were to use that power to scale higher, to purify our mind.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Again, it will be like material, Maya only. But instead, if we can utilize it to know our own inner self, which is the, yes.
Isn't it? See, ultimately, whatever prarabdha we have to experience, we will experience. So instead of asking, uh, not that you should not ask for material comforts. No, no, no. I'm not saying that. But then, if the focus of our intention is again into the material world, then it might defeat the purpose. Instead, if we can yoke ourselves to uplifting ourselves, becoming purer, having a clearer intellect, a more sharper intellect, and then automatically, that is why Gurudev says, when your focus is spirituality, you focus on the divine, all your other aspects will be taken care of. Your material, your worldly, everything will be taken care of. Because then, whether it is good or bad, it does not affect you so much, isn't it? But if your focus is only materialism, then you might not get spiritually elevated. So our focus, our yoking, union should be with our spiritual development. Then everything else will fall in place.
Absolutely true. Yes.
Yeah, what you say is true, Bela. You can, using the power of your intent, and that is what dream is. No, if you look at the definition of dream, yet jagrada vastaya tad janita vasanaya nidra samaye, whatever comes out in sleep, that is the nidravasta, that is the swapnavasta. So the thoughts we have, that is why they say people who are meditative actually do not get dreams. It is only if your mind has got a lot of um, thoughts, agitations, and all that, they surface up in dreams. People who are quite calm and composed and meditative throughout the day, they just quickly slip into deep sleep and they hardly have any dreams. I know we're going a little deviant from one topic to the other, but they're true. Dreams have their... But then Gurudev says the whole life itself is a dream. So don't give too much importance to dreams. There are 5 types of dreams like we describe in Sahaj Samadhi. So, but then yes, the power of the mind, the intention of the mind is there. And that is what we have to do. That's what Nana again quoted, this Uddhared Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadayet. So we need to use the mind to uplift the mind. And it should be Kshetrajna aspect rather than the Kshetram. And today again touched upon the chapter 13 where the Paroksha Prakriti and Aparoksha Prakriti, right? Sorry, not Aparoksha. Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti.
Yeah.
The Ashtadasha Prakriti, which includes the Pancha Mahabhutas, the mind, intellect, and the ego, is the Apara Prakriti, whereas the Para Prakriti is that which is the Kshetrajna, is the witness of all of this.
Jai Gurudev, I would like to say something. As Brahmaji mentioned about that movie, Secret, even Guruji or Chayana mentioned about this book, this The Secret. It has been written by Rhonda Byrne. Yeah, when we read the book, it makes sense. You know, I went through this twice. And yes, as you said, it really helps. Jai Gurudev.
I think negating everything at first place only will not take us to that what Gurudev is saying, everything is Swapnavat. And these steps are very important. That secret, whatever it reveals, no? Those steps when we take, then getting towards that nothing is there, absolutely everything is just dream. To reach that realization becomes more easy, I think. So it is very much needed, all these steps. As yesterday we were discussing about the water body in our system is up to 74%. So whatever is there in the mind, it has to get percolated into the means Jala Tattva in our body, and then Prithvi Tattva in our body. Then it gets totally established. How we do it in the homas, no? Like that I felt from yesterday up till today. It has to percolate into our whole system. Otherwise, it is just a concept in the mind. Jai Gurudev.
Yeah, it is said that universe is constantly guiding you. Should be totally aware. They say, Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi, I was reading. It says, through slogans, to somebody, some T-shirt they may be wearing, you may find some slogan. Something is trying to communicate to you. Jai Gurudev. Thank you.
Absolutely true, Savitaji. It is there. You get indirectly guided by the Prakriti.
So all this actually brings us back to the fact that because of ignorance, we consider ourselves limited. We consider ourselves helpless. Whereas we actually have unlimited power. Like the self is Sarva Shaktiman. If you look at the 6 attributes of Bhagavan, I think in the beginning of Gita home study, we had seen the Sarva Shaktiman. He's got he's absolute power, absolute Shreyas, absolute prosperity, absolute everything. Everything is an absolute measure. So, absolute Vairagya as well. So, that is what I think all of these are pointing to, the secret and all these positive affirmations. All that is kind of unleashing that power of the self, which we all have. So, moving from the limitations, like in Tattva Bodh, we learned that, what is that? Aham alpajnaha, kinchignaha, parantu Atma sarvajnaha, sarvashaktiman, sarvavyapi. So it's actually moving from this limited self, small s, to the unlimited big capital S.
That's
I
the
remember.
Advaita, no? We are saying we are that Tattvamasi, right?
Mm.
So that is that realization that we are all that only.
Nanaji once said, no, all that Mahavakyas, 5 Mahavakyas, we will ponder on daily.
Yeah.
And even whatever we were speaking, no, the thought came, we have a program, no, we go into the past lives.
Eternity process.
Eternity process. So it will also help to move forward in our spiritual path also. I think so.
Yeah. Shall we do 2 more shlokas?
Okay. Ragecha sukha dukkhadi buddho satyam pravartate sushupto nasti tannashe tasmad buddhestu natmanaha. Ragah, attachment, Icha, desire, Sukha, pleasure, Dukkhadi, pain, Buddho, Satyam, when mind or intellect functions, Pravartate, we pursued, Sushupto, in deep sleep, Na, not, Asti, is, Tannashe, at the destruction of it, that is mind, destruction of mind, Tasmat, therefore, Buddhe, of the mind, Tu, only, Na, not, Atmanaha, of the Atman. Attachment, desire, pleasure, pain, etc. are pursued to exist so long as buddhi or mind functions. They are not pursued in deep sleep when the mind ceases to exist. Therefore, they belong to the mind alone and not the Atman. There is no place for ignorance in the blissful existence of the self, which is omniscient and omnipresent. How can there be a darkness before light? And how can the passions that arise in the mind come to stay with the Atman? It is the avidya of the individual, his desire for pleasure, and his attachment to the fruits of his actions that deludes him to bondage of sanskara. The pure mind leads one to greater glory and happiness, and ultimately to liberation through.
Sorry, can you just read that last sentence one more? It is the avidya of the individual.
It is the avidya of the individual, that is his desire for pleasure, and his attachment to the fruits of action, attachment to the fruits of his action that deludes him to the bondage of sanskara. A pure mind leads one to greater glory and happiness, and ultimately to liberation through the final experience of the true knowledge, whilst the same mind drags the individual down to lower births. When it groans in adhyana. Therefore, if we deal suitably with the turbulent mind and quieten its riotous activities, the self is revealed in its finite glory with no blemish of the Jivatma in him. And remember, attachments, desire, etc. are of the mind and not the Atman.
This is so like what we have done today. Uddhared Atman Atmanam. So a pure mind leads one to greater glory, whereas the same mind drags the individual down to lower births when it groans in ajnana. Again, boiling down to the mind being the focal point. It's all about handling the mind. That is why in the Art of Living app, if those of you have, the opening page is, if you can handle your mind, you can handle the world.
Yeah.
No?
Yes.
Mm.
So long as we are functioning through our mind, we are under the tyranny of attachment, desire, pleasure, pains, etc. But in deep sleep, when temporarily our minds are not effective in ourselves, all these tyrannies are at an end. When I look through a pair of green goggles, everything looks green. When I look at the things with my naked eyes, there is no green color. Therefore, greenness is due to the glasses. So too, all these negative tendencies belong to the mind and are pursued only through the mind. They are not of the Atman. The glasses we wear, we see through that glasses that way. If it is green glass, everything will look green. If blue glasses, everything will look blue. So it is our own perceptions.
Which is why we say after practices, after learning Sudarshan Kriya and meditation and all that, the world will remain the same. But what changes is your perception of it. Because you are happier, you're more comfortable and at ease with yourself. How you perceive the world is also similar. It is a happy place. Whereas a person who is very stressed, who's got a lot of um, pain, misery, unhappiness within him, that is what he sees. The world is all full of unhappiness. The world is full of misery. So these negative tendencies belong to the mind and are perceived only through the mind. They are not of the Atman. So when these practices, you get happier. I mean, you're closer to the Atma, so to say, because your mind is cleansed of all the stresses. So therefore, our perceptive ability, our expression, our intention, first of all, intention, perception and expression, all of them change for the better. So instead of thinking only about me, myself, instead of having all those selfish thoughts, your expression and your intentions also become more for everyone. That seva bhav actually automatically happens. So then you start feeling, you feel belong to everyone. No? So it's so beautiful how everything is so connected. Yeah.
Prakashorkas. Continue.
Yes, please continue.
प्रकाशोर्कस्य तोयस्य शैत्य अग्नेयर्थोष्णता स्वभावः सच्चिदानन्दः नित्यनिर्मलात्मनः. Prakash, luminosity, Arkasya, of the sun, Toyasya, for water, Shaityam, coolness, Agne, for fire, Yatha, just as, Ushnata, heat, Swabhavaha, nature, Sat, reality, Chit, consciousness, Ananda, bliss, Nitya, eternity, Nirmalta, purity, Atmanaha, of Atman. Just as luminosity is the nature of sun, coolness of water, and heat of fire, so to the nature of the Atman is eternity, purity, reality, consciousness, and bliss. Whether it is the human personality or the plant specimen or animal entity, no one wants to die or suffer any agony and pain. Instead, there is a positive effort at all times for the acquisition of knowledge and the enjoyment of pleasure and for the self preservation of the individuality. Nothing can remain away from its essential nature, dharma. There cannot be cool fire or a dark sun. Every object must express its own essential nature. The sun is luminosity itself, which it shows out. The heat of the fire is well known, and no one has come across a cold ball of fire. Similarly, if at all Atman is to be defined in terms of its nature, we can only say it is to be defined in terms of its nature. We can only say that it is that which is eternal, ever pure, and existence, knowledge, bliss, Sachidananda. Nitya Nirmala Sachidananda.
Yeah, this first paragraph is very profound. Whether it is human personality or plant specimen or animal entity, no one wants to die. Everybody wants to remain immortal or suffer any agony and pain. That is why we always seek happiness. Instead, there is a positive effort at all times for the acquisition of knowledge and the enjoyment of pleasure and for the self-preservation of the individuality. So all that we do, going to the hospital, taking care of our health, wanting to live, wanting to know, to live. These are the two most important and basic things, right from an amoeba up to, maybe amoeba does not know, but then wanting to live, it pervades throughout creation. That is why we reach out and eat when you're hungry. That self-preservation is part of nature. And acquiring knowledge. I want to know that the knowledge principle is there, because probably, see, this is all nature of the Atman, and therefore somewhere deep down, we're seeking that because we are enveloped in this ignorance. We cannot remain from essential dharma. So our dharma is what? Our swadharma is actually Satchidananda. That is why we seek Ananda, we seek knowledge, we seek um, uh, Satchidananda, right? We seek the truth. So, yeah. I think we'll do one more. We'll do another 7 minutes and then we can close. Yeah, anyone wants to share anything in this?
Actually, when the sickness topic day before yesterday came, no, that time now I'm relating when we are not in our swadharma or in swabhava. That time also we fight with the situations, and um, that also make us restless, and all chemical whatever in the body happen, something happens, no, that also creates sickness. It is
Yeah.
observed in cancer patients also. I can not 100% tell, but many people says like this. When we are not in our, when we are not able to express ourselves in our own swabhava.
That is why it says consciousness heals. In fact, Gurudev
Yeah,
has
you are
acknowledged,
self-healing, power is
yeah,
inside you only.
there's the power of healing for consciousness. That there was this neurosurgeon from Germany who was diagnosed with um, end-stage cancer in the brain. She had a brain tumor, and doctors had given her only 6 months to live. So she happened to do the part one course. She said, anyway, I have nothing else to do, so let me go. And she went to Paris and did an advanced course as well, and met Gurudev there. And she went back to Germany. Surprisingly, the repeat MRI did not show of course, she was practicing Sudarshan Kriya throughout this time, and the brain tumor had disappeared. So she herself, as a neurosurgeon, scientifically, she's a medical doctor and a surgeon herself, she was not able to, she was in awe of that. And when she actually shared the story, it was few years down the line after her having got this diagnosis. So number one, she defied the diagnosis of death sentence at 6 months. And number two, her tumor had completely disappeared. So she came down to the conclusion that it is the oxygen that gets infused to every cell after doing the Sudarshan Kriya that actually killed her cancer cells. So basically, coming back to the point that consciousness has this power to heal. So if you align yourself to consciousness, you can heal any ailment. It is because we are out of our element. And that is what Ayurveda also says, no? Swastha. Swasthya is what? Being established in your nature, in yourself. That is health. So the moment we come out of it, any disturbance, it could be any of the doshas, there would be a vikriti, and then we experience ill health. So realigning ourselves back to our nature will help. That is why yoga helps. That is why do you all the health benefits that people experience after practicing yoga, after practicing kriya and meditation are all because we are kind of realigning ourselves to our nature. No?
For that, they say, two things should be closely, you should be in the present moment, and
Right.
then you should be totally in alignment with the nature. Then the body heals.
Right.
That's what they say. Jai Guruji.
Yeah. I think maybe we'll stop here. We have about 3 minutes before it is 7:30. Yeah, I think this is one longer thing. So let's do it tomorrow. Maybe we'll stop here today.
Can I share a thing? 2 minutes.
Please go ahead and share. We still have time.
Maybe less than that. It is about 18 years back. I'm having that friend. She's Dr. Bharti Chitgopikar. She was been diagnosed with cyst during her pregnancy. That was early pregnancy, and doctor told her not to go with the the removal surgery to remove that and all. And she was continuously attending long kriya in the sense the previous long kriya, and she attended Guruji's live kriya too. And just before her C-session, she underwent sonography. There was this cyst or whatever you call. And on 31st of March, and when she was undergoing that C-section, the fibroid or the cyst was nowhere to look at. And same day in the evening, she called me up. Sheila ji, see what happened. From the moment she came out of that anesthesia, and I just went and met her there and then and there. It's so amazing. So we have read about that. What you shared about the doctor who was having cancer, in the last stage of cancer and all. But this is the example I'm sharing. And that girl is now, I think she's in, some university.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Thank you for sharing. So shall we wind up? And unless anyone has anything to say before we close? Yeah, Dr. Renu, I should apologize. I've been meaning to talk to you. I will certainly connect with you. I'll give you a
No
voice.
problem.
I know it's been there in the back. Thank you for being so patient. Really, I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. Don't worry.
I remember I promised to you. I'll come back to you.
No problem.
Yeah. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Dhanyavad.